Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world. Keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of November, and I am your host, Shozen. And with me today is my co-host, Bogul. How are you doing today, Bogul? Notice how I didn't just end it with an exclamation point.
I am doing very good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've had an interesting few days. I'm trying to get my office in order. I'm going to be taking some time off from the live broadcasting on Thursday and Friday. I'm going to try to secure some time to do some interviews with people still. I can still use like the computer and get some stuff done. So if I can schedule up some interviews, we will have some people still, like a show going on. So if you were waiting for me to have some time to interview you, now might be a good time to poke you. I'm going to try to get a hold of Frozen Ice. I'm going to try to get a hold of a couple other guys, and we're going to see if we can't get some content. But I will not be here live in studio performing everything on Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. But I will be back here on the 13th because we're going to have big news. It's the beginning of big things. Stuff happens on the 13th.
Yes.
I'm not going to miss that.
But until that 13th, we still have a week of stuff that is ongoing. We still have a few other events that we need to remind people of. We do still have the Albion All Hallows event with the special dungeon and the infamous dancing Bob that is to be found in the open world. We also have the Albion All Hallows art contest still running until November 7th. So I linked both of these in Twitch chat. Definitely check out the art contest because you can win up to 6 months of premium status for a character. So the competition is there, but I think if you have some time tonight, there's a good chance for you to, if not win this, at least get a runner-up who also wins 1 month of premium.
Let me just throw that up because I do want to look at this art contest really quick. These are really good. Everybody is putting in some effort. I like seeing it. It makes me feel good about the contest. Except, I don't. How does everybody feel about the bear?
Not too great, Shozen.
All right. I like the Mythoceria one. Why am I saying the Mythoceria? This is Misharine. Sorry, you guys both have these long M names. People are easily confused in my brain. Misharine's got a great one. She won the last art contest in easy fashion. We have some interesting themed ones here. I like this Bob one as well. Who we got here? X Crucible. Yep, interesting. I like that one. I like your pumpkin head. That's good. But this one also stands out. This one and the dancing Bob really stand out to me. The horse in the dark. I like it. Looks good. Let's see if there were any new ones since yesterday. These are interesting. I'm not against them. They're pretty good. Just not they're a new F. They're just not standing out to me as much. I do like the effort though. Thank you for putting in it's a nice themed picture. It'd be good for a background on your desktop or something. Okay, let's move on, shall we, Bogle?
Yes. Fame boost, Chosen.
Fame boost is still going on. It goes on until Tuesday. Monday at yes,
until the maintenance on Monday. The auction house is bought out. No, but a bunch of people are using these extra fame percentages. You get 25% more fame right now. A lot of people are crafting, are faming. A lot of buzzing and moving is going around and about the world of Albion. So why not take a look, check it out, see if you can't unlock that one little node that you've been looking for the last long time.
Do that little extra grind. There's a bit of news, like new news today. Apparently there's a exploit / respawn bug here where people are taking advantage of some bugs in the game and abusing them to their advantage. And that's not allowed, is it, Bogle?
No, that's not cool. Apparently there is a bug which allows players to indefinitely respawn alive on the spot they died. The devs are working on it as we speak to fix it, but in the meantime, this is ruled as an exploit officially. So don't do it, because then you force the hand of some of the GMs who might see what you're doing. Yeah, that's a warning. Yeah.
Speaking of warnings, I'm going to give a warning to the guy in chat who keeps saying that we're banning people for no reason. Let's be really clear. We don't just ban people for no reason. We take every ban very, 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 very seriously, and we don't do it very willy-nilly. You did not get banned for using a phone, like, to play the game. That does not happen. It just does not happen. People use the phone to play the game all the time. If you did something that got you in trouble, that's your issue. You'll have to take it up with customer service, not here with the Twitch chat. If you continue, you won't be able to talk to Twitch chat because that's not what this is about. I guarantee you, Twitch chat, if you would like to play on the phone, we are actually looking for people right now to test the phone version of the game, and I hear that you can actually play much more of the game on the phone than I was aware of. We had a player on last week who talked about how he played on his phone, so that sounds pretty good to me. And with a new dev in-house to work on it, to make the UI better, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, cool.
I wish I had an answer for you of when you could play on iOS. You do have to apply for a beta access to the iOS version of it, I do believe still, right, Bogul? Like, that's not as easy to get as the Android version, but you can do that. You can apply on the forums to get that.
Yeah, I am currently able to play on my iPad, but there is a process. I'm trying to find it right now, and then I can link it in Twitch, but it should be visible through the forums, the feedback and suggestions. And then there's the mobile section where you can look this up. Yeah. But that's the news we have today, right?
Yeah, that's the news for today. So now we're going to move on to what we do on Newbie Tuesday. We try to give you guys, new players, support and getting ahead in the game. But today we actually looked for a little bit of assistance in that because Bogul and I have realized, you know what? We're a little bit deep into this game. We've been like slogging through at the high ends, and sometimes our tips aren't always relevant to the new players. And so we had a guy who's been working with new players since free-to-play, created a guild and an alliance, I think, and has been making some content to help new players get better. So we have Ferro of the Sumos on, and we'll get to the interview with him in just a moment. So
yeah, I wanted to mention two things before we start the interview. One is that I wanted to plug his recent YouTube video where he gives a little bit of a rundown of the things he wishes he had learned sooner. It's a pretty nice 15-minute long tips and tricks thing with various good informations. And I suppose his link to Discord, but we can post that later.
Okay. All right, well, let's, without further ado, let's get to this interview. Now, I will say, it does start out a little slow. We tried to work in a little bit of a bit there, and it didn't fly. So it picks up pretty quick. It starts out a little slow, but we'll get there. Welcome to the Albion TV interview series. Today I am here with Ferro. I don't know who you are other than the GM of Sumo. So who are you, Ferro, and why are we having you here?
I am, like you said, I'm the GM of Sumos. I'm also the founder of Albion Racing League, which is Albion's first actual official racing league in the game. I'm also a content creator for noobs and filthy casuals. I run a guild for casual players and new players that we focus on teaching some of the finer points of the game, as well as sort of playing some of the mid to high tier content when it allows itself.
Excellent. So how did you guys get to this point? Like, you say this is what you guys do. How are you getting there? What is your focus here? Because you were telling me some very interesting things about how you guys are you're trying to be knowledgeable. You're trying to work smarter, not harder, because you are casual, but you want to do high-end things. How are you guys doing this? What are you doing to get this done?
Yeah, so basically the guild and much of the game I found actually is populated by people that could be playing at the highest level of the game if they had the time, but they don't. They might have had the time 10, 15, 20 years ago, but there's a lot of, working adults that just don't have the time to do it anymore, but could totally do it if they were available to. So what we wanted to do was just sort of maximum efficiency for those players, to maximize everything we could in the game economically, so that we could sort of have it a little bit easier, to be honest. Things are easier when you're rich. So when we put the guild together at first, we had some help sort of getting the economic fundamentals down. And now we've sort of mastered some of those techniques and, worked our way into being more of a teaching role and sort of an academy role for people to come in and learn the game and develop the characters.
Okay. You said you had some help. Who was helping you out? Did you have like a mentor or?
We did. We had a mentor when we first started. When we started the guild, it was free to play, and there was a bunch of cartel activity going on all over. So we opened our guild out into the public up in Thetford, and we got some blowback from that. But we were contacted by a fella named Vok, and Vok was quite vocal on the subreddit at the time. But was looking for some people to at least network with to kind of teach some of the things of what he was doing, because he was able to make really good money in the game and he understood those mechanics fairly well. So he sort of took us under his wing for a couple of months and taught us some of those economic principles of the game that we just sort of were missing. So he kind of brought us in and taught us some of those trade secrets and sort of how the back end of the game works, so we could.
All right, Bogul, I'm surprised you don't have anything to say about that. I heard Vok and I was like, I know Bogul has strong feelings. Yeah, he's silent. He must be biting his thumb.
No, Vok things are old history, ancient history almost. Shout out to Vok if you ever listen to this. We can talk some other time. I don't want to dig up old rivalries.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, I'll say I was giving this poor guy a lot of crap for all the times he said he was the hero of the game, but it looks like he was, because he's created what seems like a nice method for you guys, you newer player at the time. You're saying you guys came in from literal free to play, right? Like that.
I've actually played since I played since beta.
Okay.
And I played with guilds all over the map, kind of thing, and up and down. And when free to play came out, my teenage son actually was looking to play the game, and he had a whole bunch of free to play noobs, and I was pretty rich in the game. So I was like, okay, well, you've got a rich gamer dad that plays this game, and all your friends want to play it. Why not just build you guys an island? So I put the guild together for him, actually, and all of his mates to come in and kind of tear shit up, right? Well, of course, it wore off after a week or two. And they all dipped out, and I had built this big island and everything, and we recruited all these people, and I was like, well, hell, I guess I'm the GM here now. I wasn't going to stay, actually. I had no intention of staying, but we recruited a bunch of really awesome people, man, some of the best people that I've played with so far, and I couldn't leave. I was like, man, this is the new family. Here we go. So it was at that point that we were kind of looking for, what is our identity here? What is the goal? You know what I mean? Because the goal was just to kind of exist for a little while. You didn't have an arc planned. You didn't have anything kind of set up. So once we sort of linked up with Vok and we learned some of those things and we had some financial freedom, we realized that there were probably other people that were in the same position. They were capable but ignorant on some of the interior mechanics of the game. So from then on, that's sort of been the mission, is to sort of popularize and break down some of that stuff for the new players of the game that maybe have a barrier to entry to some of the economic principles.
Yeah.
So are you guys an economic focused guild, or are you like a new player guild then, or is it both? Or
so it is at its heart, we're an economic guild. We run multiple island network, that kind of thing. We do a lot of materials transport and crafting. We've got some fairly high level crafters that have amassed 100 million crafting fame since the free to play launch. Just grinding stuff out. We've got some guys that are doing really well. So everything kind of comes from that. and the rest of it is using that to enjoy the other content. PvP is fun, but I can't have PvP be my job. I'm not that good at it. You know what I mean? So if you make PvP just the fun part, and that it's all bought and paid for already going in, you can get everybody to enjoy that part of the game. So we've been able to, ZVZ, and we win some fights every now and then. We've just started a fledgling GVG team that's currently in the process of getting our shit kicked in every other night or so.
Well, that's it's good to be able to realize that the easiest way to engage in PvP is to be willing to lose, and to be willing to lose, it's much easier to be willing to go out there and face higher level odds and lose all your stuff if you know it can be paid for, if you have that rightly available to you because you got that big old chunk of change. And in order to get good in this game, like in PvP, like you said, you're not that good. I'm not that good. I'm an older guy. I don't have the time to master my APM like some of these young kids who are absolutely fantastic at it. But if you want to engage in it, you got to be able to afford it. And sometimes the odds are going to be against you. And you still want to have fun. If you make the engagement about the fun, not the winning process, because if you have made your economy about winning in PvP, PvP gets real stressful. Like if it breaks you,
I've been there.
It gets too stressful. But if it's just the fight itself is the content, like having the fun of going in there and being like, I threw down my quarters, I'm ready to roll, let's go bash heads. It doesn't, losing already hurts enough. It's already painful enough to lose in any game. Nobody wants to do it. But in this game, chances are, unless you're one of the top tier guilds, you're going to lose more often than you're going to win. And if you tie your victory condition in the game to winning in PvP,
right? Or if you tie your level of enjoyment or your perception of your guild's success to winning PvP, you're setting yourself up for failure. So part of what we do is try to teach people to manage their expectations of the game and of what they're going to be able to do. You don't know coming in how much is a lot. You know what I mean? When a new player gets to the guild and you give them that 250K to get geared up and to do whatever for that day, they think that it's the world. You know what I mean? They don't have any of that idea of scale. So that's one of the things that has to be taught too, even on the PvP level, is what you can afford to lose, what you can afford to do. One of the things we learned is that people have the same amount of fun no matter where you do it. The yellow zone stuff and the faction stuff and the red zone royal stuff and the Mercia stuff, dude, it's the same holy shit that was awesome at the end of the run for your casual player. So a lot of what we try to do is break that myth of you have to be in certain places to maximize the certain potential of the game. We kind of try to teach people to kind of break those chains a little bit, get away from being locked to one city or one portal or one mindset of playing the game, and kind of just show them, hey man, you can do if you got enough money, you can do all kinds of shit, and here's how you do that. Here's how you're able to be an independent. We're not making people rich. We're just making people independent and conscious of the way the game works, so that they can really give that part of the game a chance and play the other shit for fun instead of for stress.
I like it. I think that it's a good thing. I like the idea of removing stress. But you said earlier how much it was like a small business simulator. And I want you to tell us about that. How is it that you do this? How do you make it happen? When we were talking earlier, you had some really good tips, and I know you made a video, but I don't know if everybody's gotten to see it yet. I think it'd be great.
Spreadsheets, fam.
Spreadsheets? All right, let's do this.
No, spreadsheets. To be fair, shout out to my buddy Syke out there for the small business simulator. That's his line, and he actually uses it to throw shade at the other financial officers to say that they're playing. It's funny. It's used as both a compliment and an insult at the same time. But yeah, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of that. So one of the things that we've learned how to do is sort of group source a lot of different things. There's a core group that for the guild itself that will group source our focus and some of that kind of thing. So when you've got 5 or 6 people with 2 or 3 characters each with premium, you can actually really organize a lot of production so that you can all donate a little bit or a lot and still have something, personally for yourself there. So we've learned how to make Sumos self-sufficient on the inside, and then what we focus on is trying to teach individual players how mostly the black market and crafting and labor networks and those kind of things that are in the game that are just sort of residual money makers that are more, long term and stable than just going out and ganking in the tunnel. So basically what we do is we bring people in and we sort of stop them where they're at, say, okay, where are you at? What are you doing? Kind of take an assessment of what it is that they want to spend their time doing, and then go from there. We always start with learning points and focus points. If they're not a premium player and they don't have it, then we can kind of work around that. But assumably, we're an adult guild. Everybody's assumably buying premium basically at the point that they're joining us. Because like I said, it's busy. You want to be efficient. Just go ahead and buy premium. It's support the game.
Exactly. It's the easiest way to get ahead. It's way cheaper than actually the time that it takes to make the silver.
Right. And even when I make the silver, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather just go. It's just way easier just to go buy premium. I don't even want to have to do the conversion. I really don't care. I keep actually very little silver on my person. I have less than $1 million.
Everybody throws it into gold all the time. Keeping that gold, it's just smarter.
Yeah. So we teach exactly. So we teach those kind of things. We bring people in. We find out where they're at on an individual level. We bring them into the family. Let them know that they're welcome and that there's not a judgment zone there. There's no level of expectation of them, and that's kind of disarming sometimes. And people are much more willing to share that they don't know things. And once you can get a member to be honest and say, "Hey man, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, and I'd really like some help." It's really not hard to teach people. You just have to be patient. So we found a bunch of people that are just really patient and like sharing, and we're just teaching the basics, man. We're just teaching the basic mechanics of the game and how to play smart and how to play just with a stable personal economy. And a lot of that, like I said, comes from focus usage, teaching bad habits, getting some folks set up with some supply line things of how to work all their islands and everything. So basic information.
Yeah, do you want to share some of your pro tips? Because you said earlier, one of the things that caught me was you wish you knew some things then that you know now. Like there were just a few big tips that were like, if I just knew this, I could have saved so much hassle, so much time.
Dude, okay, so even looking back on when I very first started the game and started to get into that kind of stuff, even stuff like the purchase order window, like the buy sell window over there, looking at that. I had a player that'd been in the game for 6 months that did not realize that you could put all of your chat functions into one thing so that you could see your alliance and your guild and your whispers and your emotes all in one chat bar. Like it blew her mind that you could put all of it changed her entire life. So little things like that. The big thing that I get a lot of shit for is using focus on crops. There is a certain time when using focus to water a crop is the best thing that you can do with your focus. And a lot of people will get so strung out on having these things where they're like, okay, well, I have to use every single point to the absolute max. And they focus this silver per focus cost. And they don't forget that it stops at 30K. So they'll go overnight with 30K, or they'll go the day at work with 30K. Every time you go 8, 10, 12, 24 hours with 30K focus, you're losing all of that money. So you already built an island, you did. Go ahead and put down some damn carrot seeds and max out that learning. And that a lot of times can make a lot of difference in a new player's personal economy. They're learning to manage those focus points early. It's something that they can actually use and understand. It's the most simple crop in the game. It's always in high demand. It's a simple math for focus. It's 200%. So you can really understand the return rates. It's the ultimate starter crop for learning how to use focus. So if you're at 30K, put carrots in the ground. Cook that stuff off. Don't let it sit at 30K. That's the absolute worst use of focus that you could do. So that's the high IQ play of the day.
Yeah, it's also really good to just have something, like you said, quick use of focus. Sometimes you don't have the 30 minutes, the 40 minutes to get on and use that character's focus in a really high capacity way of, like, say, going to get the materials you need to refine, going and refining them and getting them back to where you need to be. You might not have that much time. You might only have 5 minutes and throwing down some seeds in a farm, because it's not that hard to get that initial farm going. Like you said, if you're just trying to use your focus daily and just get it done with and have a way to use it and keep that consistent use going, you don't even need to level it up that far. You only need one plot. So you can get away with it on one. 2 would be better, but I think past 2, I think that's all your daily focus.
Yeah, at first, and then if you if you end up with some focus. You
But yeah,
should
if
be
you
using
get,
it other ways.
yeah, and
But
then
yeah,
you
you
move
get
on
what I'm
another
saying.
way.
It's
But
just
just
those ways.
make sure that you use it. Like you're just saying, make sure you don't let it sit. And using this as a
Right.
side way to get it out when you just don't like, if it's gonna sit there, don't let it sit there. Have an outlet for it. Good tip. Good tip.
Yeah, man.
Do you want to go into any black market tips? Like what? Here, I'll give one of the tips. One of the things I have seen players not know is that when they're looking at the marketplace or the black market, they don't know they can hit the tab to look at the history. They didn't know they
That's
can
yeah.
see the history and see not just what it's selling at now, but what it traditionally sells at, what it sells at over time, and how much it goes up and down. And that for a person who hasn't seen it before can be huge. The amount of like money that they're losing or what markets they're getting out of because on that particular day, it didn't look like a good one.
Yeah, that's a game changer too early on, man. People don't realize you're hitting sell orders and that kind of thing. I covered that in the most recent video and kind of went through how to use that. I didn't do it at the black market auction house because of the fact that it works just a wee bit different. But yeah, so the information that's available to people and the fact I don't know how to say the ignorance coming into the game. The training is there for how the game works mechanically, but there's a lot of systems that are in place that simply have to be taught by another person. So one of those things is the black market. That's what we had to have, help come in and say, hey, this is how all this works. This is where this stuff's going, and it's really it's shared knowledge. It's almost generational knowledge at this point for how the black market works. There's some videos and some other things, and there's some primers on it, and there's some things written, but really everybody I know that does it learned it from somebody. You know what I mean? And they might share it or whatever it is. So we want to be that guy that's like, yeah, they at least told me it was a thing. We might not be the end all be all for high level skill, but they at least provided us with the base level knowledge to be successful. So one of the things that you want to track, man, first of all, get a good spreadsheet. People will share spreadsheets. Track what you're actually using. If you're refining and crafting, track what you're actually buying things for individually. The prices aren't always going to be the same for you as they are for everybody else. So if you're refining one thing and buying the other thing, track where it's actually going. And then set your price accordingly. A lot of new players will come in and they'll just see what these trend prices are, and they're like, oh, well, it's either high or it's low or whatever it is. The first question is, well, how much did it cost you to make it? Oh, I don't know. Well, that's a fucking problem, isn't it? So there. Know what it is that you're making. Be deliberate with what it is that you're making. Streamline and focus a certain thing. These are all things that we tell our people, especially learning points and that kind of thing. I go into learning points in the recent video too about only using them on the outer shell things for your specialist things or for your refining things. Be very wary of using your learning points. That's opposite of focus. Focus you want to make sure that you're using because you're not going to max out. Learning points, it's like don't click that. You don't, just figure out what you're going to do first. Figure out what you want to be when you grow up before you start learning using your learning points. But yeah, the big tip that we give to everybody is focus. Pay attention to do one thing. The game rewards you for diligence. So that's the number one tip.
You sort of said that you advise people to figure out what they want to be. Do you have some advice as to how they can figure out what they want to be? Because I think that's a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's so when I say what you want to be, I'm talking about how you're going to earn your money in the game, right? We're talking about your in-game occupation, right? Because you have to earn money some way. So what we sort of do is help people kind of figure out where they're going to spend that time, save them from themselves from using up all their learning points early on shit that they think that they want to do, that are bad learning point usage things, for one. Kind of stop that triage right there. But then kind of go through and just exposure, you know what I mean? Show them how the market works, get them to craft a couple of things and kind of lug some things around. People will know, you know what I mean? Especially when you're dealing, again, mostly with adult, it's mostly gamer dads and that kind of thing, university students, grad kids, that kind of thing. We don't have a whole lot of younger demographic. So a lot of these players have been playing the same style for a long time. A lot of them are attracted to us for that particular reason. So a lot of times it's not as across the board as it might be for another guild that recruits more broad sort of gameplay.
I'm liking this. I'm sort of looking for a new guild. Maybe we can have a talk after.
Bro, we're into it, man. We haven't won a GVG yet, but we're embarrassingly optimistic about our chances. Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, we got a neat little alliance. It's one of those places that, man, I don't even know. It's what I would want to join if I was looking for a guild, and that was kind of always the thing, is I don't really need to win. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's fun. It's fun to just be successful. And Albion's a game that you don't need to win to be successful. You can go out there and lose most of your fights and everything else and still come out on top because you were able to at least afford it and have fun doing it and everything else. So that's kind of where we like to kind of lay our heads.
Excellent. I really like that. It's just a good mentality to have. And if you're able to go back out again, that means you're winning. Like you've created a win condition for yourself. Like one of the things I respect about Sun was that they always tried to find a seasonal win condition. It didn't matter. They said it became a meme when they said they had won the season because they had accomplished their goals and had a good time. But I believe that should be true for everybody. If you accomplish only one, guild gets to be number one on the season points. That means that like there's another 900 guilds that have lost. But nobody should feel like they lost because they're not in first place. They should go, what was my thing to win the season? And I really like that you guys have a consistent thing to win with, and you feel like you've cornered that. You've gotten it.
Yeah, we set the goal for silver. We have no territories. We're able to pull a territory on reset day. We ran with Broke Boys and Anglia Gang on like the first reset day, and they were always really good to us. And we kind of split off and kind of went our own way and went with the Risky guys. And we sort of formed Risky with Kingsman and the Lonely Men. And we rated our way up to a top 100 guild by just mage rating and grinding and doing it. And that was the goal. It was hey, we're going to hit silver. We're all going to get this. We actually had we had a couple people that had multiple accounts with premium in the guild that donated their second beetle, so that we had some latecomers that really helped us grind. We were able to give away 2 of the beetles, to 2 of the new players.
That's really cool.
We made a whole event of it. Yeah, because people wanted to be included, and that's all that really matters. That's what people want. You know what I mean? Above winning and above, everything else, man, on some Care Bear shit, people just want to be involved. You know what I mean? So if you can make availability the thing that your guild does best, then you can have a great guild. I mean, regardless of the rest.
That's awesome. I think that this will be a very good, what is it, a recruitment post for you guys. I think it'll do very well. I mean, you've already seemed to have recruited Bogul. I'm looking at our group chat here, and it's like Bogul's salivating at the idea of not having to go to CTAs.
Talking about recruitment, though, every time I look at Reddit and every time I look at the forums, and there's somebody talking about, hey guys, I'm new, or I'm looking for a guild, the name Sumos comes up almost every time. Is that you guys? Yes.
That's literally that's actually our thing. So it's not just Ferro that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this thing, and then you get a bunch of people and they want to hang around because you've got them a reason to hang around. I genuinely just found a bunch of like really, really nice people that actually just want to help people and gave them the tools to help people. So now it's just a self-perpetuating thing. The more people we help, the more people want to hang out and help the next guy. So it's just a constant, and people come and go, and we're not what everybody's looking for. Some people want to play in a more competitive place. Some people want to play, a different play style, but by and large, people that come kind of stay, because it is somewhere that it's more fun. It's more fun in this situation if you've accepted your level of gameplay, and you've said, listen, I'm not a top tier GVGer. I don't have time to be at 5 CTAs a day. I am not going to win the game. Once you've established that in your own little brain, then the game becomes a lot more fun, for one. But then a lot of times it's more fun to share, getting other people to that understanding. So once the more you get to that understanding, it's like, oh hell yeah, cool, and it becomes a super positive vibe that no one really wants to leave, because everybody's just trying to be fucking genuinely nice. It's a crazy thing.
It's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you guys have succeeded, and it sounds like you've won the game in a way. So do you want to say any
coming out soon, right?
Oh no, I know. Are you guys planning on going out? Too. Are you going to go out to the new continent? Because you said that you can find enjoyment anywhere. But if there is from what we've heard, this might be a new style of gameplay. Is that a style of gameplay that you guys, as a guild that just wants to go out and bang occasionally, is that something you'd be into?
Yeah, but I can't find T7 and T8 block anywhere, so we're gonna have to narrow this shit down.
Well, if you watch some of our old shows, we show the new map, and even on the outside, there's T8 blocks, so we know where phrasing's going to be, and maybe Sumos could snuggle right up next to him. I think it would be fun for you guys.
Yeah, you never know. We're gonna push it to the limits of what our officers and our active members can do. We've never really set an agenda other than some loose goals and some things to kind of do. Everything that's done there is done because there's a motivated group that wants to do it, not because some GM set an agenda there. I have very little push as far as the direction. I sort of just let the tide of our player population sort of push where they want to go, and again, give them the tools to do whatever it is that they want to do. So yeah, we're gonna have an open debate once we know more about the map, where exactly we land. We're playing. Most of us are locked to Carleon right now for the fame buff over there. We ZVZ in the Royals a lot of times, so we're kind of all over the map because the game's kind of meant to be played that way. Just kind of bounce around and experience all that there is to offer. New map, I don't know, man. We'll have a hideout somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
All right. Well, that sounds awesome that you're going to at least head out there and get a hideout. Do you want to give any shout outs before we go? Because it sounds like you have a very good group of people around you, and it might be good to get them a little airtime.
Oh, man, absolutely. Shout out to the Lonely Men and Kingsmen, both in Risky, Play Hard and Risky as well. Witty Shankers, what's up, boys? Shout out to all my officers out there, Ursi Bear, Adam, and Sand. Crafty has been. I have an officer, so we're an adult guild, and I have an officer that's like 18, something like that, and he runs like the whole Discord and everything. He's been there since like we formed the guild, basically as an OG. So shout out especially to Crafty. He's been there since day one.
Awesome. Bogle, do you have any final questions?
Where can I find you? How can I join you? What do I need to bring with me other than I don't know.
A positive attitude and a T5 armored horse.
All right, I have that.
You can find us all over the subreddit, for better or worse. But I will. I'll try to throw up a video or a link or something. I'll send it over there to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Cool. Sorry to interrupt, Bogle. Thank you very much, Ferro, for coming on. You gave some good tips. Hope we can get you on again. Maybe if you have another few tips in the future, we'll get you on for maybe a shorter, less of an interview thing. Maybe just come on to give some tips, because it sounds like you guys are full of good information. And we would love to share more information like that with our audience. And Bogle and I are too OG to know what new players need. We're too isolated. So maybe it would be good to send Bogle over there, make him start teaching lessons again.
Keep your ear to the streets, Bogle. That's what's up, man. There's a lot of changes coming up too, man. You can help re-educate some of our top guys here, man. That'd be terrific.
Yeah, I have my face right on the ground. Don't worry.
I love it.
All right. Thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you all for listening, and we will be back again soon with another interview. This is the end of the show. I'm going to end the show and go right into overtime after this. So this is the end of the show. We're going to come back in a little while for OT and answer some questions. You can check us out Monday through Friday at 18 UTC, but I will not be here this Thursday or Friday, I don't think, unless we get some other interview to just pop up in its place. Just keep your eyes, like as Bogle said, keep your face right to the ground. Yeah.
Ears to the streets. That's right. Well, hey, man, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate a platform for the little guy to have a voice and sort of let the other little guys out there know that there's a spot for him, man. So thanks for letting us do this.
You're very welcome. That's what Newbie Tuesday is about, man. We want to get more less known guilds out there. We don't want to make it be a show about just new players. It's also about players that we don't know yet, and they're just new to the audience. And you guys are making a lot of waves. Like Bogle said, you're all over the Reddits, and like you said, good and bad. I think it's amazing that you guys are making such waves and doing such good for your players. So thank you for doing that, making this game a better place. All right, we will be back in a few. Peace.